The weight of the homemade pumpkin pie steadies my hands as I pause at the threshold of my parents' immaculate suburban home. Through the leaded glass panels that frame the front door, I can see a swirl of motion, 24 relatives milling about, drinks in hand, laughter bouncing off the polished walls under the glow of my mother's prized crystal chandelier. For a brief second, I consider retreating back to my apartment, spending Thanksgiving with a frozen dinner and the muted company of a television show. But then my father spots me through the glass. "There she is," his voice booms as the door swings wide. "Our number cruncher has arrived." I force a smile, lifting the pumpkin pie like a fragile offering, and step inside. The scent of sage, roasted turkey, and buttery stuffing envelops me instantly. My modest knee-length teal dress suddenly feels inadequate amidst the glimmering decor of my mother's home, glittering like every Thanksgiving memory she's carefully curated. "Oh, you brought dessert," Mom says, taking the pie with a perfunctory kiss on my cheek. Her eyes flick past me toward the driveway. "Is that all you brought?" "Just me and the pie," I answer, trying to keep my tone airy, neutral. "Made from scratch." Dad pats my shoulder, eyes gleaming with his typical blend of pride and backhanded commentary. "Skyla works with numbers. Very stable job. Always punctual." The words land with the familiar sting of history. Always punctual, always reliable, always the boring, practical one. Variations of the same compliment, veiled judgment, have trailed me my entire life. Mom's phone chimes, and her face brightens. "That's your sister. She's running a bit late." 30 minutes, I murmur under my breath, but my comment drifts unheard as I am shepherded toward the living room, where relatives cluster in pockets of chatter with glasses raised. Uncle Warren lifts his flute of champagne in mock ceremony. The accountant arrives. "How's life balancing those books, Skyla?" I clear my throat, correct politely, and accept a flute from a passing tray. I'm an internal auditor, actually, and business is steady. The room falls silent, like a velvet curtain dropping abruptly. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Heads pivot, eyes tracking movement toward the entrance. Marissa appears, fashionable, late, and perfect. 30 minutes behind schedule, her camel Max Mara coat drapes elegantly over her shoulders, Prada handbag swinging lightly from her wrist, the accessories as much statement as fashion. "Sorry I'm late," she announces, casual, unconcerned. "Traffic was awful." Mom rushes forward, radiating pride that she never shows for me. "You look beautiful, sweetheart. Is that new?" She strokes the sleeve of Marissa's coat. "Just picked it up last weekend," Marissa preens, eyes bright with satisfaction. The color called to me. "You work so hard," Mom gushes. "You deserve to treat yourself." I swallow hard, finishing my champagne in a single bitter gulp. The irony stings sharper than the carbonation. Marissa hasn't held a stable job in over 3 years, drifting between fleeting consulting gigs that never last, but somehow always sound impressive. Dinner is called before I can even reach for a refill. I'm seated between Cousin Lauren and Uncle Warren's new girlfriend, whose name I've already forgotten. Across the table, Marissa holds court, regaling everyone with stories of her latest venture, social media campaigns, luxury brands, and influencer collaborations. "Skyla," Lauren leans in, voice low, "I've been meaning to ask you something about my student loans. The interest is killing me, and I wondered if you might have advice about restructuring." I lean forward, genuinely pleased to offer guidance. There's a program I just read about that could help if your income falls below a certain threshold. Mom interrupts from across the table, her hearing suddenly selective and precise. "Why don't you ask Marissa? She's so good with money." The table quiets. I stare at my plate, fork hovering over untouched turkey. Marissa's laugh rings like crystal shattering. "Oh, Skyla's always crunching numbers," she says, swirling her wine. "And always short on cash, it seems." My cheeks burn. "I manage my finances perfectly well." "Do you?" Marissa arches a flawless eyebrow. "Then why are you always asking for loans?" The temperature in the room drops as 23 pairs of eyes swing toward me, spectators at an invisible match. "I've never asked you for money," I say, voice steady despite the storm in my chest. "Not once, not once." "Please." Marissa rolls her eyes. "You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing." The words strike me like a physical blow, a sharp inversion of reality. No one speaks. Not a single parent defends me, despite knowing the truth. "Speaking of embarrassing," Dad interjects, tone overly casual. "Did anyone catch the Seahawks game last Sunday? That fourth quarter was something else." Conversation lurches forward, leaving my humiliation behind like discarded debris. I sit frozen, memories flashing back to being 10 years old, emptying my piggy bank to help Marissa buy a dance costume. "Your sister needs it more than you do," Mom had said, patting my head. "She has the recital coming up. You're the practical one, Skyla, the responsible one,
the sacrificial one. I excuse myself when dessert is served, slipping away to the powder room. Hands trembling, I lock the door behind me, but my mind has never been sharper. I open my banking app, scanning the 5 recurring payments tied to Marissa over the last 5 years. $52,000, $880 per month. Car insurance, credit card minimums, personal loans. Evidence of her silent financial vampirism sits before me. Neat, organized, every cent accounted for like a meticulous audit. Without hesitation, I cancel each payment. One by one, confirmation messages appear. Recurring payment canceled, recurring payment canceled, recurring payment canceled, recurring payment canceled, recurring payment canceled. I splash cold water on my face, blot it with one of Mom's decorative towels, and return to the dining room. My pumpkin pie sits at the center of the table, slices missing. "There you are," Mom says. "We started without you." I slide back into my seat, calmness washing over me. I'm not hungry for dessert anyway. My phone vibrates with confirmation notices. Payments canceled, freedom reclaimed. "More coffee, Skyla?" Dad offers. I smile and take a second cup. For the first time in years, I will not be financing my sister's lifestyle. Tonight, I choose myself. It feels like surfacing for the first breath after nearly drowning. Numbers don't lie. People do. Morning light filters through the blinds of my modest apartment. I open my laptop at my small desk wedged between kitchen and living room. Coffee gurgles steadily in the background, hands calming as I create a new spreadsheet. Payment history, Marissa Cole. Each keystroke reclaims a piece of me, row by row reconstructing my financial autonomy. 3 separate credit card payments, the personal loan that just until her commission comes through, car insurance for a luxury SUV she never needed. Totals at the bottom, $52,800, an indictment not of generosity, but of gullibility. I save it across 3 cloud accounts, securing the evidence. My phone buzzes incessantly. Marissa. 16 calls, over 30 messages in 24 hours. Panic, rage, disbelief. Autopay declined, insufficient funds. What did you do? I set it down and continue working. By mid-afternoon, the inevitable occurs. Mother calls. "Skyla, what's going on? Marissa says you're refusing to help her." Her voice carries the same tone I heard at 10 years old, accusing me of selfishness. I speak calmly, confidently. "I've been paying her bills for 5 years, Mom. $52,800. A pause, then Dad. His voice older, wearier. "What's this about money? Your sister says you cut her off without warning. Did she tell you why she needs my money?" "She hasn't had steady work in 3 years, Dad, not a business." Silence. Then, "You've changed," he finally says. "You used to be kind." "I haven't changed," I reply. "I just stopped letting people use my kindness as their safety net." Shocked silence follows. The call ends with promises to talk later, which everyone knows really means hope you change your mind.
Lauren calls, checking in. I explain carefully. Marissa's been messaging everyone about her cash flow issues. I didn't back out of a loan. I stopped paying her bills after 5 years. The truth astonishes her. $52,800 siphoned quietly from my account. Cousin Michael texts, "About time someone stood up to the golden child." The truth spreads. For the first time, my careful financial sacrifices are recognized. The spreadsheet is complete. Payments are canceled. The truth is set free. For the first time in 5 years, the nearly $900 each month stays in my account. Relief is calm, hollow but undeniable, like finally removing a splinter you've avoided for years. Morning comes. The family group chat buzzes. Marissa's post reads, "Please keep Skyla in your prayers during this difficult time. Mental health struggles manifest in many ways, including financial jealousy and irrational behavior." I stare at the ceiling, tracing the popcorn ridges, trying to ignore the phone threatening to shatter against the wall. Within moments, responses flood in. Sympathy, support, outrage, none of it directed at the truth. I am cast as the unstable one, Marissa the victim. My mother calls within minutes, Skyla Marie Thompson. Her voice carries that particular tone reserved for grave disappointments. "You need to fix this before Thanksgiving is completely ruined." "Fix what exactly?" I ask, sliding my feet into slippers, padding toward my kitchen to start coffee. "Don't play dumb. Marissa is devastated. Your father can barely look at the phone when she texts about you." She pauses. "We raised you better than this." The coffee maker gurgles as I measure grounds with practiced precision. "Did you ask Marissa exactly what I've done?" She showed me the bank notifications. All those payments suddenly canceled. Mother's voice drops to an accusatory whisper. "She has bills, Skyla, responsibilities. Ruse. So do I." The words emerge stronger than I intended. "This isn't like you," she continues. "The daughter I raised would never abandon her sister." I watch coffee drip steadily into the pot, black and clarifying. "The daughter you raised has been paying Marissa's bills for 5 years while she told everyone I begged her for money." Silence stretches between us, taut as a wire. I'm going to be late for work, I interrupt. An unprecedented act of rebellion. Give Dad my love. I end the call before she can respond, and open Facebook to find Marissa's latest performance, a tastefully filtered photo of her staring pensively out a window, captioned, "Heartbroken when family members struggle with jealousy, praying for healing during this difficult time." 27 sympathetic comments already. I close the app without responding, and finish getting ready for work. When I arrive at the office, something unexpected happens. I work better than I have in months. Client documentation flows through my review process with unusual efficiency. Spreadsheets that normally require double-checking seem crystal clear on first pass. "You seem more focused lately," my manager comments during our afternoon check-in. "Whatever you're doing, keep it up." What I'm doing is keeping an extra $880 a month in my bank account and sleeping through the night for the first time in years. That evening, I purchased a new desk for my home office, a solid oak piece I've been eyeing for months, but could never justify while supporting Marissa's lifestyle. As I enter my credit card information, I experience none of the usual anxiety about spending on myself. No mental calculations about how this purchase might affect my ability to cover Marissa's car insurance payment or minimum credit card payments. I realize I've been living below my means, not from frugality or wise financial planning, but to fund my sister's excess. The revelation settles in my stomach like a stone. The true test of my newfound resolve arrives 3 days later when Marissa appears unannounced in my office building lobby. I spot her through the glass doors as I return from lunch, designer sunglasses perched above perfect makeup, strategically disheveled hair, and what appears to be a carefully selected outfit that somehow communicates both wealthy casualness and distress. "How could you abandon me like this?" she demands loudly the moment I approach, tears streaming down her cheeks without disturbing her mascara. "After everything I've done for you." Heads turn throughout the lobby. My coworkers slow their pace, pretending not to eavesdrop while clearly absorbing every word. I keep my voice measured and low. "This isn't the place to discuss your financial problems, Marissa." "Financial problems?" She laughs, the sound high and brittle. "You're the one who's always needed my help. And now when I need you, just temporarily, you cut me off completely?" A security guard glances our way, concerned by the rising volume. "Call me when you're ready to talk about repayment plans," I say quietly. "Repayment?" The word hangs between us like a grenade with its pin removed. Her tears vanish instantly. The transformation would be impressive if I hadn't seen it countless times before. The immediate shift from wounded victim to cold calculation when manipulation fails. "This isn't over," she hisses, voice suddenly steady. She turns sharply, stiletto heels clicking against marble as she exits through revolving doors. I watch her go, feeling oddly calm in the aftermath of what should have been a devastating confrontation. Saturday brings unexpected support. Lauren arrives at my apartment door bearing lunch from my favorite deli and a sympathetic smile. "You okay?" she asks, unpacking sandwiches and containers of soup at my small dining table. "What version are they discussing?" I ask, pulling plates from my cabinet. Lauren shakes her head. "The real story is getting out. Michael called me after talking to your dad. Is it true Marissa owes you over $50,000? $52,800, I confirm, but her total debt is closer to $96,000 as far as I can tell." Lauren's sandwich halts midway to her mouth. $96,000? How is that possible? They live in that beautiful house in Bellevue. "Mortgage to the limit," I reply, plus 3 max credit cards, 2 personal loans, and the car lease that's 3 months behind. I've been covering the minimum payments for years. She was using you this whole time. Lauren's voice turns hard with anger, while acting like the successful one. My phone buzzes with a notification. The younger cousins have created a new group chat named Team Skyla, without Marissa or my parents included. I'm still absorbing this development when my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. I almost decline until Lauren glances at the screen. "That's Evan's cell," she says, eyes widening. "Marissa's husband." I accept the call, putting it on speaker. "Skyla?" Evan's voice sounds strained. "We need to talk." "I'm listening," I say. "I had no idea about any of this," he begins. "She hid everything, the payments, the debt, all of it. All of it." The raw honesty in his voice catches me off guard. "Thank you for helping her quietly all these years," he continues. "I thought we were stable, but we've been living beyond our means to keep up appearances with the neighbors." I meet Lauren's astonished gaze across the table. "We're not as financially secure as everyone believes," Evan confesses. "Not even close." A strange weightlessness settles over me. For years, I believed I was the only one who saw Marissa clearly. Now others are beginning to glimpse behind the curtain. "I hope you can help her find better ways to cope," I say finally. Lauren squeezes my hand across the table as the call ends. For the first time in years, I'm not alone in my understanding of Marissa. And for the first time in my life, I'm not expected to be the one who fixes everything. That night, the knock at my apartment door comes at 11:42 p.m., 3 thunderous blows that rattle the hinges. I know who it is before I even peer through the peephole.
Marissa stands in the harsh hallway light, arms wrapped around herself. Her hair hangs limp around her face, not a trace of makeup visible. She wears faded jeans and a plain cotton t-shirt, clothes I've never seen on her before. I open the door but block the entrance with my body. It's nearly midnight. Please, she whispers, her voice cracking.
I'm falling apart, Sky. Evan knows everything. For a moment, I see the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, seeking comfort from her practical sister who was never afraid of the noise. But then I remember the Thanksgiving table, her voice dripping with false concern. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. Still, I step aside. Come in. She rushes past me, pacing my living room like a caged animal. The credit card companies keep calling. I've blocked 8 different numbers, but they just use new ones. And the BMW? Her voice catches. They're repossessing it next week. I offer her water in a plain glass tumbler. She eyes it briefly, clearly hoping for wine. Mom and Dad are heartbroken, she continues, accepting the water but not drinking it. You're tearing the family apart with this vendetta. I sit on my couch, watching her theatrics with newfound clarity. If I lose everything, it's on you, she says, her voice hardening. Is that what you want? To see me fail? I wait until her monologue runs out of steam, until the dramatic pauses designed to prompt my reassurances grow uncomfortable. When she finally falls silent, I speak. I've helped you for 5 years, Marissa. She sniffs, nodding eagerly. And I'm so grateful. That's why I don't understand why you'd stop now, when I need you most. I let a calculated pause stretch between us. That's $52,800, I say evenly. I have records of every payment. Her face shifts from vulnerable pleading to defensive anger in an instant. It wasn't that much. You're exaggerating to make me look bad. Without a word, I open my laptop on the coffee table between us. The screen illuminates with a spreadsheet, each row a payment, each column a category. Dates, amounts, account numbers. Notes documenting her calls, her excuses, her promises to pay me back next month for sure this time. 5 years of financial hemorrhaging, meticulously documented, in the language I know best. Numbers that don't lie. She stumbles over her words. You're doing this to make yourself look better. You always need to be the perfect one. When I don't respond, she switches tactics. You know I have expenses you don't. The country club fees alone. She stops herself, realizing how this sounds. You make so much more than me, she tries instead, voice rising. You don't understand what it's like to struggle. I make $185,000 a year, I say quietly. Her eyes widen slightly. She'd clearly assumed much less. I live in this 1-bedroom apartment, so I could afford to pay your bills. The silence that follows feels like the first honest moment we've shared in years. Her mouth opens and closes, searching for another angle. But we're sisters, she finally says, her voice small. Family helps family. I stand and walk to the door, opening it once more. You had 5 years, Marissa. I paid $52,000 of your debt. That's enough. She gathers her purse, shoulders stiff with indignation. At the threshold, she turns, eyes narrowed. You're heartless, she hisses. You'll regret this. No. I meet her gaze steadily. You should regret confusing someone's compassion with obligation. The door closes between us with a soft click. 2 hours later, my mother called. I can hear the tension in her voice, the effort to maintain composure. Marissa says you refuse to help. She's going through so much right now. Did she tell you how much I've already helped her? I ask. She mentions some small loans, Mom hedges. $52,000 over 5 years isn't small, Mom. Her sharp intake of breath tells me more than words could. Dad's voice suddenly replaces hers. $52,000? That can't be right. I can email you the documentation, I say, my finger already hovering over the send button on an email prepared days ago. Why would you keep giving her money all this time if she wasn't? Being honest, I finished for him. Because she's family, and you taught me that family helps family no matter what. The stunned silence on the other end feels like vindication and heartbreak simultaneously. Later that night, texts began appearing on my phone. Uncle Warren, your sister is devastated. Where's your compassion? Aunt Patricia, the family forgives, period. This cold shoulder is beneath you. But there are others. Cousin Michael, about damn time someone stood up to her.
Call if you need to talk. Lauren, just heard the real story. We're all behind you. Mom and Dad, too. My phone hangs with a notification from our extended family group chat. I brace myself for another barrage of guilt and pressure, but instead find an unexpected message from Evan. Thank you all for your concern. Marissa and I are working through some financial difficulties that have come to light. We ask for your understanding during this time. And Skyla, thank you for your past support. It wasn't acknowledged properly. The traditional family hierarchy, with Marissa at its glowing center and me orbiting as the reliable, practical moon, has begun to fracture. Thanksgiving dinner has become the dividing line in our family history, before the truth and after. My father calls back, his voice subdued. I've been looking at these statements you sent. All these years you've been... He trails off, unable to complete the thought that his golden child has been lying, while his practical one has been sacrificing. We should talk, he finally says. All of us. Maybe Sunday dinner? Not yet, I answer, surprising myself with the boundary. I need some time. Of course, he says quickly, too quickly. Whatever you need. The words sound strange coming from him, from anyone in my family, really. Whatever I need has never been the priority before. I curl up on my couch, wrapped in the quilt my grandmother made, the one Marissa always said was too old-fashioned for her taste. My apartment feels different tonight. Not larger or more luxurious, but somehow more mine. For the first time in 5 years, the weight of secrecy and obligation has lifted. The money that funded Marissa's carefully curated life will now fund my authentic one. On my coffee table, the spreadsheet still glows on my laptop screen. 5 years of payments, each one a brick in the wall between who I was and who I'm becoming. I close the laptop and the room falls into darkness, except for the gentle city light filtering through my blinds. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more family members taking sides, more pressure to return to my familiar role. But tonight, in the quiet aftermath of finally speaking my truth, I find something unexpected. Peace. The text on Evan's message glows ominously on my phone screen a week later. Family meeting, our house. Tomorrow at 2. Just parents, you, and a few others. This needs to end. I stare at the words for a full minute, my stomach tightening. In the week since I confronted Marissa in my apartment, the family has fractured into opposing camps. Mother still calls daily with tearful pleas. Father has retreated into uncharacteristic silence. Cousins message their support or condemnation, depending on which version of events they believe. What surprises me is Evan's sudden involvement. In 6 years of marriage to my sister, he's always remained pleasantly detached from family drama. When I arrive at their home, notably smaller than what Mother had led everyone to believe, Evan opens the door before I knock. His normally easygoing expression is replaced by something harder, more determined. "Thank you for coming," he says, voice low. "This won't be easy." The living room feels like a courtroom awaiting trial. Mother and father sit stiffly on matching armchairs. Uncle Warren occupies one end of the sofa, beside Aunt Patricia and grandmother, whose presence signals the gravity of the situation. Marissa is nowhere in sight. "Where's—" I begin. "She'll join us shortly," Evan interrupts, gesturing toward the empty chair clearly positioned as the focal point. "Please," said. I choose the corner of the sofa instead, maintaining distance from the emotional blast zone. The air feels charged with unspoken accusations. Mother attempts a weak smile. "This is unnecessary. Family disagreements should stay private." "Not this one," Evan says, his voice firm, as he places a thick manila folder on the coffee table between us. "Not anymore." The sound of a door closing echoes from the hallway. Marissa enters, her face stripped of makeup, wearing plain jeans and a beige sweater I've never seen before.
No designer labels, no statement jewelry. Her eyes are red-rimmed but dry. "Sit down, Marissa," Evan says without looking at her. She perches on the edge of the empty chair, hands folded tightly in her lap. Evan stands before us, shoulders squared. "I've asked you here because it's time everyone understood exactly what's been happening." He opens the folder. Over the past years, Marissa has accumulated personal debt totaling $96,500. Mother gasps. Father's head snaps up. That includes the $52,800 that Skyla has been paying in secret for 5 years. Evan continues. "The money that Marissa told me came from a trust fund from grandmother. Grandmother's sharp intake of breath cuts through the room. I never set up any such thing. I know that now." Evan spreads credit card statements across the table. These show regular purchases from Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman Marcus, designer clothes, jewelry, handbags, things to maintain the appearance of success while we were quietly drowning. Father leans forward, studying the papers with growing disbelief. "This doesn't sound like the daughter we raised." "I needed those things," Marissa whispers. "Everyone expected me to be successful." Mother reaches toward her. "Sweetheart, is this all true?"
The question hangs in the air. The first time in 30 years I've heard Mother question Marissa's version of events. Marissa's careful composure crumbles. Tears spill down her cheeks. I just wanted everyone to be proud of me. By lying? By stealing from your sister? Aunt Patricia's voice cuts like a blade. I was going to pay her back, Marissa protests weakly. When? Evan asks. With what money? You haven't held a steady job in 3 years. The silence that follows feels like a physical weight. I watch my family absorb the reality they've been denying for years. Evan straightens. Things will change starting today. We're selling the Range Rover. The Maltese vacation is canceled. Marissa starts working 40 hours weekly at Belinda's boutique next Monday, and we begin financial counseling on Thursday. Mother's face pales. But that's so extreme. It's necessary, Evan replies, and long overdue. Father turns to me, his eyes clouded with something I've rarely seen. Genuine regret. We should have seen it sooner. His voice drops to a near whisper. I'm sorry, Skyla. The words I've waited decades to hear land softly, without the satisfaction I'd imagined. I nod once, accepting but not absolved. For the first time in my memory, I sit in a family crisis without being expected to fix it. I am neither savior nor villain, simply present. The strange liberation of this moment catches in my throat. The next 6 months unfold in careful, measured steps. Family gossip shifts as the full story emerges. Marissa works retail after years of leisure, returning home with aching feet and humbled eyes. Evan oversees their finances with spreadsheets that echo my own meticulous records. When Mother calls now, her voice carries a new hesitancy, as though she's learning to navigate unfamiliar terrain. Father asks about my investment strategies, listening with genuine interest. One Thursday morning in May, my phone pings with a banking notification. Deposit. $600. A text message follows. It'll take years, but I'll pay you back. M. I stare at the screen, remembering the Thanksgiving table where she publicly accused me of begging, the powder room where I finally found my boundaries. The spreadsheet documents 5 years of silent sacrifice. My fingers hover over the keyboard. A dozen responses form and dissolve in my mind. In the end, I type just 2 words. Received. Thank you. Not forgiveness, not yet. But perhaps a door left slightly open in a wall I had every right to build. The weight of the pumpkin-scented candle steadies my hands as I stand at the threshold of Evan and Marissa's downsized Tudor-style home. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front door, I glimpse modest Thanksgiving decorations, a far cry from the opulent displays at our parents' home last year. For a moment, I consider turning around, driving back to my apartment and spending the holiday alone with a good book. But then I spot my father through the glass, and our eyes meet. 1 year has transformed more than just my living space. My apartment now boasts a plush sectional couch in rich burgundy, replacing the threadbare hand-me-down I'd tolerated for years. My home office gleams with a proper desk instead of the wobbly card table where I'd managed my finances and Marissa's for half a decade. The $880 monthly payment that once disappeared into my sister's bottomless needs now flows into an investment account showing 12% growth. Dad opens the door before I can knock. There she is, he says, that his voice lacks the booming quality I remember from childhood. Instead, there's something I've never heard before. Respect. Happy Thanksgiving. I step inside, breathing in the aroma of roasting turkey. My simple dress, a knee-length and deep forest green, feels perfectly adequate for this gathering. Oh, you're right on time, Mom says, kissing my cheek without the usual perfunctory feel. Marissa's just about to serve. The dining room table, set simply with white plates and cloth napkins, hosts only 8 place settings instead of last year's 24. No crystal chandelier hangs overhead, just a modest pendant light, illuminating faces I now recognize as family rather than audience. Marissa emerges from the kitchen wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater. No designer labels visible, no statement jewelry catching the light. Her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She carries a platter of sliced turkey with steady hands. Everything looks wonderful, I say, meaning it. Marissa's smile contains something new. Humility. Thanks for coming. When everyone is seated, Evan suggests a toast. All eyes turn to him, but he nods to Marissa, who rises slowly. She lifts her water glass. To a family who tells us the truth, even when it hurts. My throat tightens unexpectedly. I raise my glass in acknowledgement. Not yet ready for complete reconciliation, but accepting this honest new beginning. Throughout dinner, conversation flows without the usual facades. Uncle Warren discusses his recent heart surgery without minimizing its impact. Lauren shares her promotion without downplaying its importance. Parents admit their struggles with retirement planning without pretending everything is perfect. No one performs, no one competes. We simply exist together in truth. Later, back in my apartment, I open my laptop out of habit, but I no longer check the spreadsheet daily. 12 payments have arrived consistently from Marissa, each exactly on time. I scroll through my phone, deleting old pleading messages from her that I'd saved as evidence. They're no longer necessary armor against gaslighting. The truth has emerged and settled like dust after a storm. Opening my journal, I write, $52,800. If she were a stranger, I would have stopped years ago. But she was my sister. Or at least I thought she was. I pause, considering what has changed. The monthly deposits from Marissa aren't just financial restitution. They're acknowledgement that my boundaries matter, that my sacrifice deserves recognition. My worth was never tied to family approval, though it took me 30 years to understand this. Boundaries aren't cruelty, but self-respect. I close the journal, feeling neither triumph nor regret. Just clarity. Sometimes kindness means knowing when to stop. You can't save someone who keeps sinking, especially when they're the ones pulling you under. The question remains, hanging in the evening air of my quiet apartment. If faced with the same situation, what would you have done? Cut them off like I did? Give one more chance because they're family? Take legal action to recover what was lost? Where do you draw the line between helping and being used?